The woman was nothing more than a sideways glance. The man was mesmerized by her. He raised their blades without hesitation, slaying the woman's husband. He wanted to take her for himself. But the woman didn't feel the slightest fear. Instead, she demanded that the man who took her husband's life carry her home. This man's name was Fanmaru. He was a mountain bandit, but he was also a kind man, because every time he robbed, he only took money and never hurt the other. As he was returning home that day, he happened to come across a cherry blossom tree. The blooming sakura had an enchanting aura, immersing him in a world of fantasy. Fanmaru, frightened by the eerie scene, fled in haste. The next day, he prepared to hunt in the mountains, but encountered 3 individuals passing through. So he wanted to take some money and let them go. But then a woman with a veiled hat glanced his way, revealing a captivating sideways glance, instantly captivating him. Fanmaru killed the guards with a single stroke. It was his first time taking a life, but he didn't stop there. Fanmaru proceeded to kill the woman's husband, yet the woman showed no fear. Instead, she made a condition. If he wanted her to be his wife, she'd have to carry her home. During their conversation, Fanmaru learned that the woman's name was Shigeko, hailing from the capital city. Fanmaru, in turn, boasted that he was the ruler of these mountains, that everything here belonged to him. However, at that moment, Shigeko's hairpin fell off. It fell straight down the cliff. She commanded Fanmaru to retrieve it immediately, or else she would not marry him. Left with no choice, Fanmaru carried her on his back down the treacherous cliff. Even when he cut his hand, he didn't complain. Thankfully, he eventually found the hairpin within a crevice. Shigeko adorned it once more upon her head. Under the setting sun's glow, her beauty was accentuated perfectly, once again captivating Fanmaru. In the evening, Fanmaru carries Shigeko back home. To her surprise, he already had 7 wives. Shigeko looked at the dirty, odorous women before her, and her displeasure was evident. Fanmaru asked what would make her happy, but Shigeko responded by demanding that Fanmaru kill his other wives. Shocked by her words, he didn't realize that this beautiful woman in front of him, she was so cruel. After all, these women were his family. Yet Shigeko threatened that if he didn't comply, she would not become his wife. After hearing that, Fanmaru, as if compelled, swiftly killing 6 of his wives. As he prepared to slay the final one, Shigeko suddenly halted him, for she desired to keep one as her servant. Looking at the lifeless bodies scattered around, Fanmaru couldn't comprehend his actions, why he unquestioningly followed Shigeko's commands. The river ran red with blood. The cherry blossoms seemed to turn blood red as well. Months later, Shigeko grew weary of the monotonous life in the mountains. She wanted Fanmaru to take her to the capital city. Fanmaru was reluctant, but eventually he agreed to her request. 3 months had passed in the blink of an eye, and Fanmaru had settled in the bustling city. But his money was running out fast, and to make matters worse for him, being a mountain dweller, he had endured constant mockery and scorn during those 3 months in the city. He grew increasingly disgusted with everything around him. On this particular day, as he returned home, Shigeko started berating him, calling him a coward and even demanding him to commit murder and robbery. That night, he actually sneaked into a rich man's house, silently taking the lives of both the mistress and her lover and bringing their severed heads back with him. Shigeko was so satisfied that she played the head game happily, although Fanmaru felt perverted, but he just watched in silence. But then, unexpectedly, Shigeko demanded the head of a monk from him. Without hesitation, he set out to find one. From that moment on, Fanmaru completely lost himself, spending his nights collecting heads and treasures, all to bring joy to Shigeko. Yet this sensation had long erased his sense of self-worth, and he spiraled into despair and madness, desiring to kill Shigeko and end it all. Finally, a spark of sanity returned to Fanmaru. He suddenly yearned to return to the simplicity of life in the mountains. He sought out Shigeko, telling her he was going back to the mountains to live. After uttering those words, he turned to leave, but Shigeko rushed into his embrace, pouring out her love for Fanmaru, declaring her willingness to accompany him to the mountains. The next day, the 2 of them set off early on their journey, engaging in cheerful conversation along the way. Unbeknownst to Fanmaru, he had unconsciously veered into a cherry blossom forest, and a wave of fear washed over him. Though he had lived in the mountains for 25 years, but this was the only place he was afraid of. Because of the extreme purity and beauty of the cherry blossom forest, time and time again, showed him the dark side of his heart, and then, in that moment, he suddenly saw Shigeko transform into a hideous, long-haired female ghost. Instinctively, he threw her to the ground, and with a firm grip, he throttled her neck, ultimately strangling her to death. Only after it was all over did he realize in a daze that he had killed the woman he loved the most.